हाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 63. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smruti vibhramaha, स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. So Krishna says, if you see the previous verses, the 59th verse was that only by higher taste in Krishna consciousness we can restrain from material sense indulgence. And in the 60th verse, it is said that if one is not in Krishna consciousness, then he may try in many ways, Purushasya vipaschitaha, still he won't be able to control the senses. And in the 61st verse, Krishna said that the higher taste referred to in the 59th verse is nothing but Krishna consciousness, yukta asita matparaha, to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Then only you can control. And in the previous verse, 62nd verse, it said that if you are not in Krishna consciousness, just a little focus on material objects will cause your downfall. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. Contemplation leads to attachment, which leads to desires, which leads to anger. And now in this verse, Krishna explains the process of falling down on the basis of anger, krodha. Once krodha comes, what happens? Falling down from where? See, from ordinary people, they are already fallen down. But we are talking about from divine consciousness. Remember, Arjuna's question is about divine consciousness. So, those people who are transcendentalists, who take the path of developing this divine consciousness through artificial means, trying to restrict the senses by not engaging in any activity, they try to cultivate freedom from anger, fear, and so on and so forth. They will also eventually fall down, according to this verse, as explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. As he says, those people who practice artificial renunciation in order to develop their divine consciousness by curbing their sensory activities, there is no enjoyment on their path. And slightest agitation in their mind will cause a fall down, according to this verse. Because they cannot enjoy life and they become quite frustrated. And slightest opportunity for sense gratification, they bite it and they fall down. That is what Krishna is referring to. So now Krishna, if you go through the sequence, Krodhat bhavati sammoha. From Krodha comes sammoha. Sammoha means delusion. Moha means illusion. Sammoha means samyak moha. Delusion. Means, just like for example, you become angry and you say something and you want to stick to it even though it is wrong, isn't it? Because you have said it and no, your ego will not let you to back down. Even though it is incorrect. So delusion means living in an bubble which may not be, in an idea which is not necessarily the truth. So krodha makes you like that, delusion. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smruti vibhramaha. From delusion comes loss of memory. And when memory is lost, Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nashaha. Your intelligence is lost. See, intelligence is about your ability to apply things from your memory, from knowledge, and to decide what is the right course of action. So when your memory is lost, your knowledge is lost, your buddhi also becomes lost. Buddhi nashat pranasyati, and eventually you fall down from your divine consciousness. So this is the sequence. So particularly about Krodha, Krishna is focusing on that. Krodha is said, anger is said to be the younger brother of desire. First desire comes, and then inevitably anger comes. Why? Because anger is nothing but dissatisfaction of a desire. When the desire is not satisfied, anger follows. Like, for example, a person is watching a favorite TV channel and the program is poised in a very anxious mode. For example, so let's say Kaun Banega Karorpati or something. And then the participant is about to give an answer that determines the fate of his prize. And suddenly your kid comes and switches off the TV or changes the channel. And how your reaction will be? You will become so mad at him, isn't it? You'll become very angry. Because somebody disturbed your happiness, somebody disturbed what you wanted to achieve. Similarly, on a weekend, you planned for so many wonderful things and you're set to do all that, travel and all that. Suddenly, your boss calls up and hands over a high profile customer case. And now you'll start to curse him. You become angry. You cannot show it on him. You'll show it on your family, and so on and so forth. So, this anger is a product of mode of passion and ignorance. Mode of passion, particularly. When your desire does not get satisfied. Why you have desire? Because you are in mode of passion. And you start to become angry. Krodha. So, there are actually two kinds of anger. One is material anger and one is spiritual anger. In the case of material anger, which comes because our desires are not fulfilled, like watching of a TV or going to a favorite place and getting disturbed by all these things, your sense gratification is disturbed and therefore you become angry. And the result of that anger, that kind of anger, is that you behave erratically, you behave unnaturally, you say something mean which will cause a long term effect on people. Nothing good comes out of that kind of anger. You may hit, even physically hit somebody. Nothing good comes out because you lose, as Krishna is saying, sammoha, it happens, sammoha, smriti bhramsha, buddhi nasha, everything follows. It's a downfall if you become angry on a material platform. Whereas the other kind of anger is spiritual anger. You're becoming angry because of obstructed from your service of the Lord, and you are using the anger in purifying that person or correcting that person. Of course, this kind of second anger is used only by advanced devotees. Not everybody can use that. That will be helpful for that person who you are becoming angry on, like the great saintly people. When they become angry, it is not that they are on the material platform, therefore, or they are becoming disturbed from their sense gratification and therefore they are becoming angry. No. They become angry because of compassion for that person. Unless they show anger and punish, that person is not going to be reformed for their own good. sometimes the spiritual personality has to become angry. And there are several examples. We'll see that. So, the material anger means you are used by anger. So, these material qualities, they're always using us, and we are going along with that flow. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jihva vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhirah sarvamapi mam prithivim sasishyat. So every moment there is a vega, there is a force that is acting on us. Vacho vegam, the force to speak something. Manasa vegam, the force to always think something in the mind, some thoughts. Krodha vegam, the force of anger. Jihva vegam, the force of tongue to taste something. Udara, the force of our stomach, our tummy to eat something, fill something. And upastha, the genitals. All these vegas, these 6 kinds of vegas are acting on us. The forces are acting. And the living entity is constantly acting because of these forces. The mind forces you to think something and do something, and you do it. The anger comes and forces you to act in a way, and you do it without even thinking. We are helplessly acting. Everybody is helplessly, anybody in the material platform is helplessly acting according to these dictations. Still, we think we are independent. I am free. But Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Prakrite kriyamanani gunaih karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The Prakriti is binding us, and we think kartaham, I am the doer. I am doing by force of nature. Like I was giving the example, the owner is taking the dog on a leash, and the dog wants to lie down and relax and roll, and the owner just pulls the leash and the dog has to come. So like that, material nature is pulling us by the ear. Like Prabhupada uses this example, like when you go to the school, sometimes when we were young, the teacher would pull us by the ear, and then you have to like do like this and go wherever they pull. Like that, the material nature is pulling us by the ear, and we have to helplessly go. So we are being used by these vegas or anger. Anger uses us. We are the servant of anger. Whereas the spiritual personality, when they become angry, they can use anger for service of the Lord. Like Narada Muni, for example, he became angry on these 2 sons of Kuvera. They were completely intoxicated. They were having, kind of enjoyment with some women. And Narada Muni was passing by, and they didn't even notice that while these women became alert, and they were so intoxicated, naked, they didn't even respect, and they were completely immersed in that kind of intoxication, being responsible devatas. And so Narada Muni said, no, you need to learn the lesson. He showed his compassion by becoming angry and cursed them that they will become trees. Tree means you can remain naked for a long time. People are interested to become naked, they will be cursed to become trees. And so they became trees. But because it was the curse of Narada Muni, a saintly personality, that curse also became a blessing for them, because they became trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj when Krishna appeared. And as we know, baby Krishna delivered those 2 trees during his Damodar Leela, and the touch of the Lord purified them. So it is the extraordinary mercy of Narada Muni. It was not that anger was controlling him. Any saintly person is fully in charge of the situation. Even they appear to act angrily. They have to use anger. Like even Arjuna, for that matter. If you have to fight and kill, he has to use the anger, isn't it? So, if you are using the anger for Krishna, then you are a spiritual person. But if anger is using you for Maya, then you are a material person. See, even in the spiritual world, nothing is absent. Everything is there. Even anger is there. But it is used for the right purpose. Like it is said that Hanuman, he used the anger for what? He used the anger to burn the whole Lanka, to set it on fire. So anger has its purpose. Like the police need to become angry on the criminals. The fighter fighting for the country, they need to become angry on those who are attacking the country. Or anybody who is trying to attack our family. We need to become angry because they are aggressors. So anger has got its use when it is properly used. But we don't know how to control anger. Only a devotee can control anger. Because a devotee is not motivated for his personal desire. Usually people become angry. The example I gave, the TV channel changing, stopping the TV. You become angry because your sense gratification is disturbed. But a spiritual personality becomes angry because his service is disturbed or he wants to impart a lesson to that particular person. So Narada Muni one time, he met a snake. So the snake, because of the association of Narada Muni, he became a devotee. So Narada Muni is an extraordinary personality. He can make anybody a devotee, including lower species. So the snake became a devotee and it became a sadhu. It stopped its envious nature of biting people, so it was not biting. And people understood that. Oh, the snake has become a sadhu. And people started to throw stones and make fun and all of that. And the snake was quite perturbed. So it went back to Narada Muni and said, my dear spiritual master, and this is what is happening. I'm quite distressed. People are making fun of me and people cause me so much of disturbance. And Narada Muni said, I didn't say don't show your hood, but don't bite. So the snake started to do that and people became alert. The snake was about to do like this and then people would run away. Because it is needed. The snake is not going to bite because fully under the control, not going to bite, but I'm going to show this. So snake was showing and then people got the message. So like that, we have to use the anger. One time, Prabhupada told this story of Alexander. This Alexander, when he went to India, he was he promised his people in Greece that he would bring, because they were all fascinated by the saints and the yogis and the people doing mysticism, tapasya in the forest and all that. So they wanted to see somebody there. And so Alexander told, I'm going to bring somebody to you. So he went to the forest when he came to India and he met one person performing austerities and meditation. And Alexander said, oh, nice to see you. I would like you to come to my home country. I promised my people to show somebody. So let's go. I'll give you a lot of comforts, a lot of gifts, and all of that. And this sage said, no, I'm quite happy where I am. I don't want any of those. I want peace and I want to just meditate on the Lord. And Alexander became angry. Do you know who you are talking to? This is the, somebody said, oh, this is the such and such great personality, Alexander. The sage said, yeah, I know who I am talking to. You are just a servant of my slave, or a slave of my servant. And then Alexander became even more angry. How dare you say, I am the emperor, I am the king, great king Alexander. How dare you call me a slave of your servant? I'm now going to kill you. And then the sage said, no, you may kill my body, but you can never kill my soul. And again, it shows that you are the slave of my servant. And now Alexander became even more intrigued. What do you mean by a slave of your servant? And then the sage said, yes, see, you're not even able to control your anger. The moment you become angry, you took your sword and you're about to kill. See, I have conquered anger. I've conquered all these, the forces, Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam. All these forces I conquered. Anger I conquered. Therefore, they are my servants. Servant is somebody who follows the order of the master, isn't it? A Vega for the tongue comes. I say, no, you cannot speak. You can only chant. A Vega in the mind, a thought comes. No, you cannot think like that. Think of Krishna. Vega of tongue or Vega of anger comes. No, you cannot become angry now. So they're all my servants. And because you are being forced by them to act, so you are a slave of anger. Therefore, you are a slave of my servant. So Alexander actually appreciated that. He understood what it means to be a great sage or a tapasvi. So it is, we need to, or a Krishna conscious person can easily control this because of, as Prabhupada says in the purport, it's easier for one who is practicing Krishna consciousness. Everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. For example, the devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas a non-devotee rejects it as material. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation. And for this reason, a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. So those who are gnanis, yogis, those who are not Krishna conscious, they have their own way of becoming liberated. That is by artificially restraining their senses. It's like putting a lid on a pressure cooker. The pressure cooker is, becoming pressure, and then the lid will break sometime. So slight agitation for them, their mind pulls them down into the pool of material existence. So the secure position is Yukta Vairagya. Use everything for Krishna. Your desire, your anger, everything. Kama Krishna Karmarpane, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. This is a formula given by the Acharyas. Your kama, your desires, has to be used in serving Krishna. Prabhupada said once, the way you conquer lust or your desires, material desires, is use your desires always in thinking of how to push on this Krishna consciousness movement. How to serve the Lord by pushing on his movement. As Krishna himself says, Ya idam paramam guhyam mad bhakteshu abhidasyati. There is nobody greater servant than he who is trying to push on this movement, who is trying to give the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to others. Nacha tasman manushyeshu kaschin me priyakruttamaha bhavita nacha me tasmat anyaha priyataro bhuvi. So if you use your desires in pushing on the movement, serving the spiritual master's mission, you can conquer the forces of karma. Similarly, the krodha, if you use intelligently in the service of the Lord, krodha bhakta dveshi jane, those who are blasphemers of God or those who are blasphemers of pure devotees of God, if you direct your anger on them, that is the right use of anger. Like Prabhupada showed by his example, he also became angry at his disciples many times. One time they didn't properly make arrangements for Vyasa Puja. He became quite angry. In the middle of so many people who came to the festival, he started to exhibit his anger. And the devotees were quite taken aback. And then Prabhupada said, "No, today we are not doing this. Tomorrow we will do it. I'll teach you how to do it." And then he went to the room and then he was quite normal. And then one devotee went and asked, "Oh, what is the consciousness of a pure devotee like?" They wanted to understand, can a pure devotee become angry like how you became? And then Prabhupada said, the consciousness of a pure devotee is so deep. He is so grave like the depth of a ocean. You cannot understand what is happening. In the surface, there may be tremors, waves, but deep down, it is calm and serene and peaceful. So, deep down, a Krishna conscious person is calm and serene. But occasionally, he will exhibit some of these characters because he is a jiva, he is a living entity. Everything is there in the jiva. The right use of all these things will happen. Like even Dhruv Maharaj, it is said that somebody, a yaksha, by devious means, he kills the brother of Dhruv Maharaj, Uttama. And Dhruv Maharaj at that time, he was the emperor. And so he declares the war, all out war with this whole clan of these yakshas. He starts to go with his army and starts to massacre them. It's a bloodbath. And these people are also showering their weapons, and he seemed to have been overclouded by their power. But then he emerges again and again starts to attack them. And it's one of the fiercest wars in his times. And there was so much of lives lost, and the whole clan is get to wipe away, get wiped away. And then Swayambhuva Manu comes, and he starts to teach Dhruv Maharaj, no, you should not become subject to anger. You should not give in to this anger and cause the loss of so many lives. And finally, Dhruv Maharaj, he stops that attack. But then Prabhupada clarifies there that Dhruv Maharaj didn't become angry because anger was forcing him. Because he was doing his duty as an emperor, he wanted to teach somebody who kills somebody unjustly, they need to be taught a lesson. So that is why Dhruv Maharaj was using that anger, not because he was forced to become angry and was doing like an ordinary person. I'll stop here. Anybody has any questions or comments? Feel free to unmute yourself. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.